Round 13. Hey, what a wild ride it has been this week. I think it's been one of the crazy weeks I've ever experienced, given we have so many good trade-ins. There's guys that we want to improve our team for this week, but you're looking forward to round 15. And then we have to think about 18 and 19 as well, which are getting pretty tough there with, round 19. We got a lot of Raiders in our side. We got Manly on the bye as well as sort of, the two big teams that are missing out in that week. And heading into this week, a lot of our trades that we're making, they're pretty marginal. And we do have big guns in our sides that have returned in Couchman. We also have Payne Haas, who I was, a good chance of selling. He seems like he's now a hold. It looks like he's off on the plane to get to Sydney now with Carrigan. They're cleared to play. And why wouldn't you keep Payne Haas in your side if you can? And when our trade-ins this week, Kolomatangi and Aiken up top in mid/edge, you've got two guys in Couchman and Haas who are two of the best scorers this year. You've got Haas and May, the top two. Couchman sitting up there with, when he gets decent minutes, a 60-odd average. So he's one of the clear top guys in this section as well. So there's a world where you could trade in Kolomatangi and Aiken, and both these guys outscore them. So the question is now, do you actually make trades to add now to that section where, Payne Haas next week especially, yes, backing up might be a little bit harder for him, but in round 14, he can go 100. And a lot of these guys can't. We've seen Kolomatangi do it with 2 tries, but the majority of players cannot do that. So that's where I find it a bit of a tougher week in that standpoint. With the mids, it's super strong. Now, edge, in my situation, a little bit different with Wong and with Hosking. Both those guys aren't scoring superbly well. But Wong is a very important piece to round 15 as well. If you don't, if you're in a similar situation to myself, then you don't have like a KPP as an extra guy. You're playing Lucas down in center. Then round 15, you probably want Wong in the side, or if an injury pops up, I think you want to keep him in there as well. If you look forward to round 18, 18 becomes really tough. If we're now bringing in the Rabbitohs guys, who are the other team that misses 19, so Rabbitohs, Raiders, and the Manly boys, I've got Garrick, I've got Tavanga. I currently have just the 3 Raiders, but some people have 4 and 5, and if you have 5, it's probably Starling, and I think you're likely selling him, or it's Horsburgh, and he'll end up out of the side as well. And then you've got those couple of bunnies that are coming into most teams. So that becomes difficult. Round 18, when you're looking at all those guys, Jazz Tavanga, he'll be available for that. Aaron Clark won't be, so that's fine. Tavanga will be in the hooking position. But in terms of your mids, you're going to have Payne Haas out. You're going to have May out. You're going to have... May is back playing, You'll have Haas out. But you have Tarpany available. You have May available. You have Kolomatangi available. You'll have Couchman available. Aiken, Wong, Hosking. That's a lot of edges. And you have... I suppose if you have KPP, he'll miss that one. Lucas as well, same situation. But if you're looking down at half, centre and wing fullback, a lot of these guys have buys. Cleary will be out, Hines will be out, your Knights will be gone. So there's Sharp, there's Lucas, Katonga's out, Yongi's out. Then you're looking at guys like Tamale and Garrick, they play that week, which is helpful. If you're looking at JC, he's going to be out in round 18. So down in half centre, Herbie's going to be out in round 18 as well. So my 3 centres right now, Herbie, Katonga, and Lucas, are all going to be out in that week. So that's where the overload comes up top, and the underload, we'll call it, we're very scarce down in that position. So now I look at Tamale and go, is he actually a sell in my side? Someone like Riley Smith, he doesn't really serve too much of a purpose anymore. Round 13 now, he's not going to be played, unfortunately. This week I'd play Clark and I'd play Tavanga over him, even though he's scoring really well. Apparently, though, he's going to lose some minutes to Papali off the bench, which was the plan last week, which didn't happen with Penasini going down. And that'll be the case going forward. And he has a really low break even, so there's annoying parts to that. But which other players in my side are going to be sells? Nafahu White this week, he's my ticket to Lupo if Couchman comes out and plays really well. So White right now, he's going to sit there. He also helps in round 15 if I don't want to make an extra trade there, which with trades being pretty scarce, it might be the better play just to keep him and hope he comes back in that round 15 clash, which is what's planned. So yeah, looping with White, he could be the sell, but I think we need him. Guys like Savala, low break even. Yongi, low break even, but will be sells. Guys like Katonga in round 15 could be a sell. And then guys like Cleary and Haas could be one of those guys, at least, I think will be a sell in round 15. Looks like Cleary won't back up in 16, so maybe he's the guy, and we'll see what happens with someone like Payne Haas. But overall, there's not a lot of sells in this side, which is great news for me in that from that standpoint. But I feel a little bit exposed down in wing fullback and slightly in half as well. And half is likely a position I want to improve come round 15, but we'll see how we go. We've got Savala, King Tonga, but don't really want to play King. And then Savala is a guy that probably is out the side by that point, but we'll have to wait and see. Now, wing fullback, there are 3 clear options: Campbell, Teddy, Drinkwater, and 2 of those guys will play in 18, which is really good. Now, if I'm looking at Teddy this week, I still currently have the 3 Roosters in Savala, White, and Wong. If I was to get the 4th, then I'd kind of forcing myself, I think, to trade one of them next week. And if White and Wong become holds, then it's just Savala. And at that price point, what can I get from that if I happen to use a trade this week? So I'm really looking at it, and he's like Riley Smith is now a trade out because he doesn't help me too much. It's Riley Smith or it's Yongi, but I could probably just play him this week, and given he's a little bit more important in the side than what Riley is. But then that trade from Riley, if I go to Kolomatangi, I can do that straight up with 355 in the bank. I can go to Aiken. I think one of those 2 helps me not have to play one of these guys, and I would have to pick given Wong and Hosking both play in the same game. So I'd be picking one of them to miss out, and based on sort of recent form, Wong is probably that guy. We know Hosking can score really well. Wong's also up against Hudson Young, which is always fun. And Hosking, what's he going to be up against? The other side, left side. Yeah, Crichton, if he returns. So that could be fun in its own way. But Crichton also misses tackles, so we'll see there. But yeah, it's just a really strange week because so many people in our teams can do really well. And I'm sitting right now. My plan is to have a look at Couchman in the first game. So I've got him in number 3 there. And if all goes well, we can muck around with switching Wong out for someone like Nafahu White. In that case, if I wanted to bring in Kolomatangi, then I think if Haas is all good, I'll just start Clark at hooker, Tapane, Haas, and Terrell May, the skipper. And then if Couchman goes well, 50 plus, I think anywhere near there, that sort of high 40s to 50 odd, I'll replace Nafahu White into the edge position for Wong there. And then potentially, I could move Riley Smith onto like Kolomatangi and play him in that other edge spot. So that there would leave me in a really good space up top, especially Clark, Tarpane, Haas, Couchman's 50 plus would be nice. And then also playing Kolomatangi. But that leaves Wong and Hosking on the bench, who are really, really decent scorers as well. At this stage of the season in round 13, then that's really good. Now half, I'm looping Sharp. At this stage, I think that's the safest way to go about it. King Tonga, I don't think he's going to get a look in. Probably won't score enough for me to not play like Savala over him anyway. So I think he's just going to stay down the bottom. If Sharp doesn't score very well, Savala likely to just come into the half position. The other play could be JC, could come in for Riley Smith there in that one. But yeah, generally, if I'm looking at only one potential trade out, then it's likely only one trade this week or 0. Yeah, that's the option as well. So it's as I said, a very fun, wild week and hard as well. And looking at trades in the bank as well with 12 left, needing to get to, let's just say we use all of our trades by the end of round 19. That's, a lot of weeks away. We've got 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, and 19. It's 7 weeks away for 12 trades. So it's less than 2 a week. And if I can manage to get through this week with 0 or 1, then it's 6 weeks for 2 trades a week. And that's not too bad. we can handle that pretty comfortably, I think. But there's still plenty of work to do for round 18 and 19. And if you do get through all of those weeks, all the way to those weeks and you run out of trades by 18 or by 19, I think you could have a little bit of trouble. Now, 19 should be generally okay, given it's only 13 players. But if you end up in that situation, like I said, with 2 bunnies, with a couple of Manly boys, makes 4, and then you're sitting with like 3 Raiders, there's 6, 7 out, 8 out, depending how many you've got of each of those teams. That makes it tough. So these are things I just want to come on and focus on in the trades video this week, because I'm looping in game 1 and then I'll work it out from there. But usually I think the best strategy when you're not clear on trades, or if someone's going to be, can be better or whatever, than one of your other guys, especially in a game where there's lots of injuries, and you're not sure, it's probably best to hold off if you can get away with it. Now, all I can hope for is that my wing fullback is a pretty similar situation to last week. Garrick hopefully improved. Let's say Tamale and Yongi, if they can get sort of 40 each, I'd be pretty content with that. When we know guys like Campbell could lob out a 50, 55, Tedesco could lob out a 50 as well, and Drinkwater a fairly similar situation. If you can get through it myself with no trades and decent scores like that, then I think that could be helpful. Means I'm pretty strong up top. Payne Haas can go a 70 plus. We know that very easily, and happy with the setup with Lucas there and Fletcher Sharp and these kind of guys in that half position, where someone might have Katoa. Yes, you might have Fogarty, and that could be helpful, but we can't, depending on your team's setup, you can't go well every single week. There's usually going to be a week or two that you do have to sacrifice a little bit. And in this one here, I feel like I shouldn't make many ranks with the team that I'm throwing out there. But if we get those really big scores from a couple of those guys that are a little bit more lower owned, like Couchman and Haas, and if Yongi can come out and do well again, then that would be ideal. I could kind of hold strong with everyone else and not have used trades and then build from there. If I don't trade in Aitken or Kolomatangi, and yes, they go up in cash, but we should be able to get to them over the next few weeks, or at least in round 15. If we sell a Cleary or a Haas, then you definitely have enough cash. Cheaper options like Latufenu are on the radar, but we already have a couple of those guys. And if you are holding a few Roosters, then you might be looking at playing King Tonga next week. You may be worried about injuries and stuff like that. That could come up and force you to make trades, which we know that can happen very, very regularly. Also be aware of that if you're trading out a guy that could be helpful for you over the next few weeks, and then someone else gets injured in that position, then it does make it harder for you. So that's where the safety of holding on to guys like Wong, even if you do have the extra edge for round 15, can be helpful for you there. So the things I wanted to speak about here, looping first and then deciding on really Teddy or JC. Teddy might have to wait until potentially round 15 if I still want him. It would be JC over Drinkwater for me in that one, and then still just looking at Colo and Aitken and how they help. And yes, they will help. They'll make some cash. They'll do great work. But how much better will they be than all these other guys here in the side? It's a tough week. Definitely a tough week from a fantasy perspective. Now for Supercoach, I will be making 2 trades. Unfortunately, the Hawking position a bit rough with Starling out this week. I think we're just going to have to hold. In this situation here, I do have him coming back next week. He's going to help in round 18. Nicholson, a little bit more expensive than Egan. You know what? I wanted to go Nicholson and Egan to Kolomatangi and Aitken. Guess how many dollars short? $1,000. So pretty rough there. So likely at this point, it's going to be Nicholson to Kolomatangi and Rob Toya. Given he's 19,000 more expensive, he's likely to go to Aitken. Can just improve that centre wing a little bit there. Means I wouldn't have to play Billy Smith. I think I'd continue playing Dewey against the Cows, given they didn't play super well. They've got a few backing up this week. And looks like, Tigers are on their way out from the Galvin saga. We do need to make some improvements here in Supercoach. And we need a big score out of guys like Olakau'atu and Katoa in my second row forward. Stick and solid with Haas. If it looks like he's set to play, then we'll lock that in. We're going to vice captain Pappenhausen. I think Drinkwater would be a fun little play as captain, a bit of a pod type move, given how poorly he scored last week. But against the Tigers, we know that Pappy had his massive week against them, and Drinky could do the same. Looks like Munster will be okay. Apparently he's like, oh yeah, I should be right to back up. All I did was tackle, and then they put up the 10 missed tackles that he made. He did work hard. But yeah, I think he's more just like, I didn't do much. We lost very badly. So that's where I'd be at with the two trades for me. Actually, if Nicholson comes out for Colo, yeah, what have I got? Haas. Yeah, I'd actually be able to leave Dewey and Billy Smith out, which is pretty cool, actually. Makes my 17 pretty strong, and I think I need that given, you know, Docker Clay's likely the one to drop out, and yeah, VC wise, it would make it pretty easy for me to just play Starling as my captain, and take the Pappy score. Other options this week, guys, are like, you know, Dylan Lucas clearly has big score in him. Fletcher Sharp for my Supercoach team, I'm hoping he goes low like he did a couple of weeks ago, so I can make a few ranks. But we're just in kind of hold mode at the moment, and we need something to go our way here to push back in that. Just, you know, we're just outside the top 10k, just push back inside there and put us in the right direction. So yeah, I think we'll leave it there, guys, with the trades for the week. There is a bit of waiting, and thankfully with this Knights and St. George clash, just the one tonight, we can see the lay of the land, find out about guys backing up from Origin and all that type of stuff, and make our decision from there. So thanks for tuning in to our trades video, guys. If you are interested in the public Facebook group, link is down there in the description. If you want to join in the private crew for fantasy there, I help out with Supercoach as well. $25 now. I've just dropped it down again for the rest of the season. So jump in there, get some help, get around a great community, and enjoy the footy this week. We've had the big game on Wednesday night, and then we've got almost a full slate, 7 games there with 3 on Sunday. So they look like pretty decent clashes as well. So we'll see what happens with Latrell. Sounds like he might be the one that's kind of under a bit of an injury cloud right now, and I don't think they should push him, but we'll see how we go. So that's that, guys. We'll leave it there. We'll see you in the next one.